First off, for listeners, I know a lot of people are using ChatGPT these days, and other tools like Claude and Gemini and all the different AI chatbots. But that's just really, a small percentage of what's out there. And I really believe that people aren't even using it to the maximum of its capability.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Pursuit of Purpose. My name is Chris Kiefer, and today I am joined by Joe Papa from TrueVersity, and we are going to be diving into the topics of AI and some AI voice assistants and how to better incorporate AI into your business. So, Joe, thank you so much for coming on today.
Awesome, Chris. Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And tell it, what is TrueVersity?
Yeah, so TrueVersity, I started TrueVersity a number of years ago to educate people about AI. And I came from AI as a development space in the research and development space, worked in there about 3 decades. And I was teaching developers how to build AI for probably the last 5 to 10 years. And once ChatGPT came out, I said, you know what, there's a lot more people in the world now that are going to have to learn how to use many different tools, not only on the development side, but on the user side. So that's really what spawned TrueVersity. Ultimately, TrueVersity's mission and purpose is to help people realize their true potential using technology that's available. And a lot of times they don't even know it exists. So awareness is a big topic. That's where it starts. Just being aware of all the incredible technology that's available to you today. A lot of it's free. A lot of it doesn't require a whole lot of skills. Anybody can learn it. It's just amazing times to be a part of this.
Yeah, it's super. I feel like every day I learn and hear about a brand new thing that I wasn't aware of before, and it's super exciting to me. So I'm excited for this. Tell me, like, what is TrueVersity doing, or maybe I don't know how you want to take this. The most crazy things that you've seen, or the um, I know you did do a demo of an AI assistant at a conference we were both talking at not too long ago, but like, has there been any major advancements there? Like, what are the most common things you feel like the average person is unaware of when it comes to AI?
Yeah, so I mean, just first off, for listeners, I know a lot of people are using ChatGPT these days, and other tools like Claude and Gemini and all the different AI chatbots. But that's just really, a small percentage of what's out there. And I really believe that people aren't even using it to the maximum of its capability. So I mean, right off the bat, in terms of building awareness on what's available, is like the AI voice capability, voice mode for ChatGPT is incredible. And I'll tell you, I was, sometimes I'll be on the road for a couple of hours. I had an hour and a half conversation with ChatGPT while I was driving from New Jersey to Maryland just this week. And we mapped out so much strategic plans. We went back and forth on some philosophical things, and it's really there's so much benefit to it. Another application is like people that go on walks, right? Like if you like to exercise or go on walks and just talk to ChatGPT about whatever in life. And the thing I love for business owners that are out there or business executives is like you're trying to solve a difficult problem or a complex problem. Man, the first place I go is ChatGPT and just go there and talk to them. Like talk to her. Like mine's like a female voice. So talk to her and get some insights and get unstuck, right? Get some ideas on how to move forward. And then I reach out to my networks and people and kind of ask them what they think about different things. But it's just so convenient to, say to my phone, hey, open the ChatGPT app and start talking to it right away.
Mm. Yeah, I the a non-business but highly recommended use case if you've got kids. Um, I use ChatGPT to basically educate my kids in scenarios where they're resisting, like for example, brushing their teeth, or this was the one I actually did where my 5-year-old was just like thinking that it was dumb and didn't want to. And I was like, look, I can fight with him, or we can like try and educate and make it fun. So I asked ChatGPT to come up with an explanation and or story of for a 5-year-old on why brushing your teeth is important and what's going on inside your mouth. Like if you could make it like a battle and include like dinosaurs and rocket ships and things like that. And it included, and I said, and include like some sciency terms to like tie it all back with like plaque and like tartar, and then you have like the baking soda and stuff that comes in. And so like we listened to this 3-minute story of like this battle that happens inside your mouth when with like, they can either decay and turn into cavities, or like the toothpaste can clean it and make your mouth clean and everything. And it's just like he's just like in so engaged, because it's got dinosaurs, and he even got to like decide what was in, like, what do you want to be in the story, or I've done the same thing for like uh my same kid. He goes just bomb like first time on a scooter, just bombs it down this big driveway. And I didn't know, like, I thought he was going to ride down with like all the little kids, and he just goes to the top, and we're at a barbecue. I look out, here he comes, and he's not stopping. And he just peels out, like, gets this scrape on his knee and stuff. And he is not interested in the scooter anymore. Like, he's done. And I had heard a podcast of a military guy that said, they're doing jump training like with parachutes out of a plane. And if you jump out of a plane and you have to deploy your second chute, you actually are required to go and jump again that day, because the second, like, if your first chute doesn't deploy, you're like kind of waiting and waiting and waiting, and then you have to ditch that. Now you're like in this really critical zone where you like could die if you don't get your second chute out. And so it's really stressful, and it induces a lot of fear naturally, because you literally almost died on a parachute jump. And they make you go immediately again to basically reset, like, okay, I got it, I can do it. So I took this to mean my son just crashed on a scooter, like, you're riding a scooter
Get
today,
back on
get
that
back
thing.
on, and he's like not like screaming at the top of his lungs. So I bring in ChatGPT, and I was like, all right, my son just crashed on a scooter. I need to give like a pep talk to him in like a for a 5-year-old that includes dinosaurs and I can't remember what the other thing that he said he wanted to hear, but basically it was like talk about how even though your knee's hurting and like it's really scary to go ride the scooter again, like why should you go do this again? And so it tells him this big story of a dinosaur that was like, injured, and this boy Gabe found the dinosaur and was trying to encourage the dinosaur to like get back out there. And so Gabe, sure enough, like he gets done with this, and I was like, you don't have to, but if you want to ride the scooter, you can. And he did. Like, he didn't go on the big hill, which I was fine with. But he rode it around like the driveway. And I was like, that anyway, stuff like that I feel like is, I love the idea, like you brought up, of just talking in the car. And I feel like people are so, I feel like when people first use it, they think of it as like Google search. And they're like, well, I don't have anything to search for. Like, I don't have a problem right now. And it's like, I mean, so what would you say to like a friend that walked in, just start talking about whatever and then see what happens, or ask it, like, what should I talk to you about? Like, I don't know. What do you do? Anyways.
Yeah. I call it second level thinking. So that's the next level of thinking. It's like, if you don't know what question to ask ChatGPT, what questions should I be asking? Right? It's like, it's great for like interviews, or if you're going to meet somebody, a celebrity or a mentor or somebody, and you want to come up with some really good question to ask them. It's great. Hey, what kind? I'm meeting with this person. This is what they do. What are some good questions I can ask?
Mm.
Because that's the magic behind this. When you dig into tools like ChatGPT, it's really just figuring out like what questions to ask, what context to give it, right? The information. We call this like prompt engineering when you're typing things into the prompt. But now that we're moving so forward in the voice technologies, it's come along. There's been incredible advancements in it, in the research and development space, which is it's coming to market so fast. I mean, that's the biggest change I've seen over three decades of building AI. Is like, 10 years ago, you come up with something in the R&D space, and it might take 5 years to come to market. Here we're seeing like 6 months, like advancements come out, like a new model comes out in 11 labs, and now all of a sudden you have super realistic voice that you cannot tell the difference between AI and human, right?
Did you say 11 labs?
Yeah, 11 Labs. So 11 Labs is one of the leading companies that we work with. One of our partners that we work with our voice technology. Um, they have one of the top technologies in the world with voice generation and voice cloning. What you're even seeing now is like certain B-level celebrities that are licensing their voice for you to use. So let's say you're building a like a phone answering system for your business, and you want to use, like, there's somebody on there, I saw it, I don't remember her name, but she's like a Disney actress, and she's got this amazing voice, like it's sweet and like just so comforting and stuff. So like she'll let you license her voice to answer your phones. Like it's amazing and affordable, and it's just stuff like that. We're starting to see more and more use cases where people, creative people that were once scared that, like, voiceover technology, people that voiceover actors, they're like scared, like, oh my god, this voice technology is going to replace us. But now they're finding a way to actually license their voice and make far more money than they possibly could just
Ah.
doing voiceovers. Yeah, it's incredible how it's evolving.
That's so the example that you gave on the demo, and this has been my experience. I haven't done like a ton of research into it. I've just seen little clips here and there, and I'm curious because I think we talked back in June. That's practically like 1,000 years ago in AI years. Uh, what has, like, when I saw the demo that you gave, and it's the same experience when I've tried stuff. There's the problem or the issue that I have right now with AI assistants is the delay. It's an unnatural delay after I finish speaking to it. So it's like, the AI assistant, the opening line is great. Sounds like a person. You're kind of like, no, I mean, that sounds normal. Like, oh yeah, I just need that house painted. And then there's like, great. I would love to help you with that. Tell me more about your project. And then you're like, oh, it's about a 2-story house, 2,000 square feet. Need the whole exterior. And then again, so like, how has the advancement there happened to be quicker? Um, because I feel like everything else that it's saying, I've seen the ability to refine it, make it shorter responses, or, you know, you can design that part well. But how do you, or how, like, what is the delay now? And do you feel, is that still, would you agree that that's like the one last pain point, or is there other things that you feel like are bigger issues than that?
Yeah, so that's the number one complaint that we get from our testers and from our customers, right? So we help small businesses build these systems to answer their phones, and we test these things, thousands and thousands of calls. We have a whole force of testers that are making test calls all the time, and that's seriously the number one complaint we get. Now, what I'll say about that is, the stuff improves constantly as we go. And like you said, like even just from June, there's been major progress there. I also say it's a complex system. Like when you think about what needs to take place to make all this work, is you have to have some sort of speech to text recognition, right? Voice recognition. You need to be able to take that voice, convert it to text, send it to a large language model like GPT-4, for example, get that response back, and then convert that text response to a realistic sounding voice. And that's got to happen very, very quickly. Now, implementation wise, not to get too technical, but if you're looking at infrastructure, well, where are all these pieces sitting, right? Are they sitting on the same server, or are they talking to multiple servers, which could be, across the
And it's,
world? So there's that
it's
latency there too.
milliseconds, but then it's like
Yeah.
milliseconds there and there and there, and all of a sudden you're at a half a second, which feels unusual, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an engineering problem, and we've gotten it down significantly. There's actually there's different things that we can use, and we can measure the latency on each part of the process. So, like for example, we may use a different voice model, which will get us faster latency and reduce that response time down to where it's almost unnoticeable. So there are tricks that we could do. We experiment with different models, but really the key is building the infrastructure so that all these pieces are sitting very close together, and you don't have that latency going across servers. But it's an engineering problem, and it's being fixed, and it's making progress. That's one area. Another area which I've seen some incredible results is the ability to recognize emotion and also uh, and also exude emotion, right? To demonstrate emotion in the voices. So this, I believe, is the next level of where the technology is going. It's the ability to not only detect in the words and phrases that are being used, but also in the tonality of the voice as well.
Wow. That's do you have I don't want to put you on the spot because we didn't come for a demo, but do you have is it possible to show like even recordings, pre-recorded stuff of like here's an example of like a in what is it, an empathetic tone versus an angry tone or whatever?
Uh, yeah, I don't have that prepared for me, but there are ones that you can go on. I mean, certainly check out 11 Labs. They do have some things on there where you can see the different emotions of it. But yeah, it's pretty impressive technology that's coming out. And again, a lot of these things. I think back to like when the first iPhone came out back in 2007. It's like it didn't have all the features that we could have used. Like it didn't have GPS, it didn't have the app store. Like there were so many things that weren't in the first version. And I kind of feel like it's the same way now with AI technology. Is like they're just not dumping everything out because there's got to be some way to like kind of level up and keep leveling up. So we kind of see a little bit of slowdown in the progress there, but it's coming for sure.
So what is the like what's the big opportunity for business? And do you feel like is it are like is TrueVersity focused mostly on like not that you don't do others, but would you have like a the majority of time spent on voice assistants, or what other AI things are you spending significant amounts of time trying to improve or develop?
Yeah, so Traversy as a whole, we have three ways that we serve our customers. The first way is through training. So we do have different training programs, just how to write prompts, for example, how to build AI assistants, how to incorporate AI into your culture and your work environment, how to handle at an executive level different issues that come out with implementing and rolling out AI into your company. We also, our second way that we help serve our customers is through consulting. So we will work with C levels, business owners, and help them plan and implement things. But the third level that we do is actually software solutions. And we've been rolling out new products. And this is where you and I kind of got together at on the last event that we did with Contractor Click. Is we're rolling out new products. We're building out complete call centers for small businesses where they're handling all their incoming calls are going straight to an AI assistant. That AI assistant is answering questions, pre-qualifying leads, capturing information, warming up the customers. Right, so a lot of people miss that. It's kind of like, let's say you're a painter, and somebody's coming out to do an estimate. You want to give your customer some information about the company and let them know that, hey, you know what, we offer discounts for veterans. Like I noticed, you mentioned that in the call. Be sure to ask your painter for a discount on veterans. Ways to warm up the customers and ways to directly increase sales conversions just in the initial conversation. So the whole thing is really the conversational piece, but it's also tying into your systems that you're using now. So CRMs, calendars, appointment settings, your operations, whatever you're using for that. AI can also book appointments, put information, contact information into your CRMs, etc.
Um, is that a like when it comes to incorporating the like the what am I trying to say here? For the customer, the end user, that's the potential customer of the business that's using the AI assistant. what have you found is the best way to introduce the fact that I'm talking to AI? My assumption is that it's like, hey, my name's Chris. I'm an AI assistant. If you'd like to talk to a real person, press one. But, or I see if I can answer your question right now, or something like that, where it's like, you're not trying to pretend that it's not. Or are you at a point where it's good enough that you can pretend that it is a real person and then they never know? And now, a quick word from our sponsor, which is Boolean Review. Boolean is a review software that my wife and I own, and we sell this software to home service businesses. So I know there are many different people that listen to this podcast, but if you know someone, an electrician, an HVAC business, a painting company, maybe a coffee stand, someone that is providing service to customers and get found online by customers, we would love to talk to them. This is a review software that is the highest converting review software in the home service space in particular. And if you're wondering what that means, if you have 100 clients in your business, the typical business gets between 1 to 2% of those customers. So for every 100, they would get one person or two people to leave them a review on Google. Other review softwares get between 3 and 5%. And the Boolean review software gets 20% of your customers to leave you Google reviews. And these are fantastic Google reviews with lots of words, keywords that are going to help with SEO, pictures, stories, the names of your employees. So if you want to learn more, check out booleanreview.com. And now back to the episode.
Yeah, so I mean, this is our philosophy: is always be truthful, be honest, right? Like, so if you ask, "Are you an AI or a real person?" 100% of the time, they'll say, "No, we're an AI." We're here to we can answer questions. You can talk directly to us, but we're an AI. If you like to be transferred to an actual person, we can do that too. Is that something you want, or do you want to continue the conversation now? A lot of times, people are willing to continue the conversation, and we're seeing that adoption of having a conversation with AI, especially through like the ChatGPT tool using voice modes. People are getting more and more familiar with that, just because the technology is so much better. Uh, that a lot of companies that were using the decade old technology, where it's like press one, press two, you don't have to do that anymore. Just tell them what problem you want to fix, and we'll do what we need to on our end, right? Um, so yeah, it's people are getting more and more comfortable with it. We just as a general concept, what we teach is like, hey, this is Trudy, your AI assistant, on a recorded line. Thank you for calling TrueVersity. How can we help you today? Right? Like, kind of mention it, but I like to think of it like a movie, right? Like when you sit down and you watch a movie, you get immersed into it, that you kind of like forget that it's not real. Like, like that's the effect that we're going for, is really the experience that the customer's having and the ability for them to engage in it, to engage with it in such a way that it solves their problem. Basically they're calling for a reason. So let's solve that problem in a natural way that gives them a good experience.
Um, yeah. What other advice do you have for painting companies or not painting companies? That's who we work with, companies in general. Do you have a service, speaking of industries, what's the scope or like breadth of industries that you work with?
Yeah, so at TrueVersity, we work with a very wide range of companies. We have several different divisions that focus on different types. We have our home services division, which focuses on mainly home service companies between, I would say, $1 to $2 million in revenue, upwards to 10 million, that are looking to grow and expand and exit. That's completely in our home services division. But we also have an enterprise division which works with more medium-sized businesses, more at the C level, helping uh, 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 chief security officers, chief information officers, chief operations officers try to discover an AI policy, roll out different programs with larger types of companies. And we also have a government contracts division too. So we do work a lot in the government space where we're building out AI technology for the Department of Defense and intelligence communities. So we do span a very wide range, if you will, of different types of clients. And the reason for that is really our mission and purpose is to help as many people as we can utilize the innovation that's available to them to take them to the next level. So it's, like I've worked in the government space, I worked in the enterprise space, I worked in the small business space. I'm a, small business owner, multi-business owner, franchise owner. So we want to use all that expertise as much as we can to help people.
So yeah, I was going to say, as far as now with the companies that you're working with, whenever you talk about implementing AI into a business, a big concern that we oftentimes hear are the employees freaking out that they're just trying to cut positions or get rid of them, or the AI is going to do their job completely. What's your advice or suggestion on how to get a more harmonious implementation of AI in a business?
Yeah, that's a great question because it's happening, it's real. We're seeing that all over, especially in the state of the economy right now, as businesses everywhere looking for ways to optimize and cut costs. So here's what we recommend to our customers and our clients is, AI's here. It's not going anywhere. Like, how do we work together? How do we empower our employees with AI technology? And it's really like, if you think of it like a hierarchy of things, is I see that the human is the one that's managing the AI, because no matter what system you look at, I mean, we could take ChatGPT as an example, is it's not 100% solution, right? And there's this concept we call the 10-80-10 rule, which is 10% of the work the humans got to do, right? You got to write the prompts, you got to talk to it, you got to design. If you're building an AI assistant, you got to design the assistant to follow the right call flow and do the right scripts. That's 10% of the work right there. 80% could be done with AI, but then, and here's the most important piece that a lot of people miss, that final 10% is a human coming in and watching and monitoring the results from AI, because we know it's not going to be perfect. And so the question then becomes, when you reach, what can go wrong and how do you
Mm,
handle it?
yeah.
Right. So, like, one of the things that we do with our AI assistants is we have analytics for each of the calls that takes place in a company, and you can look at aggregate information and dig into, voice recordings and transcripts and all that. You got to have a human looking at that. Like, there's, you just got to, like, you need to monitor that. You got to see how it's working. Um, what we'll see going forward is maybe a little bit more automated approach, where maybe you're doing some A/B testing, and then based on the results, you go and you tweak the scripts, or you tweak, the way that you're programming AI to get better performance. But even in that example, is you have to have a human monitoring that and managing that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So do you educate, like what do you tell the employee that's freaking out that their job's going to go away?
Yeah, so the employee that's freaking out, number one is you got to learn this stuff. Like, if you're not using ChatGPT by now, like, that's step one. I mean, I still have people. I interviewed a person the other day for sales position. One of the first things I ask is have you used ChatGPT? And he said no, and I was like floored. Like, I'm like, I have friends over for a barbecue, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we saw that you're hiring, some AI builders in your company. Like, do I qualify for the job?" And I was like, "Have you used ChatGPT?" And they're like, "No." Like they heard of it, they know it exists. Everybody knows it exists. But I'm like, "Have you used it?" Not really. Well, what does that mean? Like, have you talked to it? Have you had a 30-minute conversation with it yet about something? Like, so that's step number one. I mean, you just got to be on top of that. And depending on the field that you're in, like if you're in graphics design or video editing or anything like that, you got to be on top of those tools as well. The Dolly 3s and the Mid Journeys and all the runways and all the video editing capabilities. So, like, you just got to be on top of it. There's nothing around that. The second thing, and this is what people miss, Chris, is it has nothing to do with AI. It has to do with, as an employee, you have to understand what your value is to the company, right? And every employee should know their KPIs, their key performance indicators. Like if you go at the end of the week, you should know, you should have numbers that indicate, was this a good week, right? Did I do a great job this week? And everybody's gonna have different ones depending on what you do, but everybody should have something. And it should be in alignment with the business. It should be in alignment with their expectations and responsibilities. And when you get to that point, that's when you start looking at ways to increase that using technology like AI.
I love that. So you're potentially, I would say, the real problem when someone is worried about that is that maybe they don't understand what are they actually doing. Like, why are you here? Why is the company employing you? And usually, it's not because we need you to manually type in 25 different properties pertaining to a customer into our CRM. That's not why you're here. You know, like, or your job is to, intake the customer or get them scheduled or whatever it is. That's the thing that we need to optimize, and everything else we want to get rid of. Because I would say, building on that, what I've always told people is that what it comes down to is, it's this idea of we're trying to do more with less. That's like been a human thing since the beginning of time. We want to have more food with less effort. So we, instead of hunting every time, we make gardens. And then we're like, man, this is taking a long time with a hoe, so I'm going to have a horse pull this plow. And it's like, what if we did a machine? And it's like, that's been happening forever. And computers just allowed us to start doing this with more data and things like that. And so now we're just at a place where it's like, hey, so and so that does XYZ in the office, we're a $5 million company right now, and we think we could become a $10 million company and not need to hire anyone. And you can still manage all the job flow if we incorporate AI to automate these aspects of your job or whatever. And so it's explaining the vision of what's happening. I've only had one company, and we did not work together, after we gave the proposal of us like the full package to automate all their back end processes. He said, who do you think I'll be able to fire after we implement all this? And I was like, that's the wrong question. First of all, even if that's the end, then you find out that you can let somebody go. Like, you can't, I just firmly believe that you cannot try to approach AI with that in the back of your mind, because your employees figure that out. And I also just think that um it's not the right mindset when using these technologies. Is not like, how can, it's like the what is it, not abundance, but the uh limited resources. What's the word I'm looking for, where someone's closed minded or fixed, like they're like, as opposed to being like abundant minded, where it's like there's always more, like there's always more that can be done, there's always more opportunity. And so someone that comes in saying, who can I fire if I use I feel like is, yeah, it's just like, you should, what else am I going to be able to do in the business when I incorporate AI, or how am I going to free my people up to solve better problems when I use AI or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's a reverse way of thinking, that the way they should be thinking, which is, how do I keep my staff? Like, if you have A players, key staff, like I worked with a marketing agency and she had 10 employees. And I said, do you like your employees? Like, are they good? And she's like, yeah, they are awesome. I love them. And I'm like, okay, let's keep them all and figure out how could they could be twice as much productive using
Mm,
AI.
yeah.
Like, let's start there, because you love them. Now, if you have employees that are problems, or they're underperforming, or they don't get it, they don't fit into the culture, they don't have that growth mindset, that's not a productivity issue. That's just a culture fit issue. Right. So yeah, I mean, if all businesses would look at it that way, we've had some clients that just go into me and say, look, nobody here is going to be replaced by AI. Let's get that straight, but we got to level up. Like, here's where we need to go. And as the company goes and we get to this point and we're successful, everybody else is going to be successful too, right? And to be able to share in that success and get everybody on the same page. Because I mean, people don't really talk about this. I don't hear people talk about this. The multiplier is when you get that mastermind effect. when you have 10 employees that are all like so eager to learn AI and figure it out, is now this person learns something and they share it with the rest of the team. And this person's like, oh, yeah, and then we could do this. And they share it with the team. And now you have this mastermind effect where it's not just, everybody going off on their own, learning the tool. It's everybody's learning it together.
Mm, love that. Um, so any closing thoughts, remarks that you came to the call today wanting to share, events, books, whatever, and then I'll move to my wrap up questions for you.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean, just go to TrueVersity.com. We're putting a lot of new stuff up there, so keep going back. I mean, look at the voice technology, and then you could always find me if you're interested. You want to add voice agents or voice assistants to your company. Just come find us. We'll help you do that. It's like really, it is to a point where it's almost like you're adding employees. So, like to give you one quick example, we have clients that are building these sales trainers, where their salespeople, their human salespeople, can call the sales trainers and do a role play. So it's like calling a customer and you do this sales call and you're like, "Oh yeah, I messed up." Like if you're in sales, you know what I'm talking about. It's like you know what you're doing, you know the process, you know what you've been trained to do, but you go and you do it, and you're like, "Shoot, man, I forgot to mention that, or I could have did this." And I could have helped this customer this way. So having the ability to just do that any time of the day, any day of the week, go and call and practice and role play gives people confidence and also the competence to succeed.
Love that. That's a great one. Three book recommendations.
Oh boy. Okay. This is a hard one. Three. So one is a very short book, and it's been there for a while, but everybody's got to read it again if you've read it right now, and that's Who Moved My Cheese?
That's a great
Stephen.
one for what we're going through right now.
Yeah, yeah. Just not only AI, but just in the economy in general. It's like so much changes, and what a powerful story. It's such a short read. So I would recommend that one. Another one. I'm gonna put this one out there. So there's a book called Mind Power. It's by one of my mentors, Mike Aguilero. You can find on Amazon. He's a leader of a training organization called the Food Dog Group. Go out and read that book. That'll get you into the mind set of things. It starts there. It's with no matter whether it's AI or business or anything like that. Being able to go and just have a different mindset and a different way of thinking moves the needles in so many different ways. And then the last one I would recommend is by Napoleon Hill, who was the author of
Think
Think
and
and
Grow
Grow
Rich.
Rich.
Hmm.
But there's an even better book. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Outwitting the Devil, which he wrote and never got published during his life after he died. It was so controversial, they held it back. And you can read it now. It's about just getting that mindset right and excelling. So those are the three that came to mind right on the spot. I probably thought about it some more. I'd throw in some AI or technical books, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about.
That's I've never heard of that. Then you said you like it more than the Think and Grow Rich
Oh yeah, 100%. Actually, I would recommend getting it on audiobook because when they do it, there's like this, and
voice
I don't
acting,
mean what's that?
voice acting or something.
Well, it's actually narrated by real humans. But yeah, it's like you're having a conversation with the devil, and the guy that talks as the devil's a different voice, and it's kind of like it's weird. But and I know people are out there; they have different religious beliefs. This is kind of on the edge of that. So if you're very strong religious beliefs, like that was the whole reason why it never got published. Was it was just like they didn't know how it would be accepted into the world. But if you have an open mind and you wanna go and explore that, I definitely recommend listening to the audiobook.
Awesome. And what is your movie suggestion for us?
Oh, movie suggestion. Oh, so I want to say one other thing about books before we jump into that. Um, one of the most powerful use cases for ChatGPT or voice assistants is to ask it the same questions you're asking, Chris. Like, I'm trying to solve this problem. What are the top three books I should read? It'll give you that
Mm.
in a summary. Then I'll go to those three books and I'll say, okay, for book number one, here's what I want to do. What would this author tell me to do? What are the next 10 action steps I should take? What are the chapters that I should read to go a little bit more in depth instead of reading the whole book? What's the 20% of the book I should read? Right? Questions like that. You're just like you're reading book. You could read like 20 books in a week that way. Like you're not reading the whole book. You're just going right to the point. What's a story in the book that I can tell people while I'm doing a training seminar or a podcast, right? All these things you can pull out of
That's
that.
awesome. That's a great use.
Movies, man, movies. I mean, some of my favorite movies. I'm like kind of old school when it comes to movies. Like Wizard of Oz is like my favorite. My another one's Willy Wonka. Like actually the old one, the old Gene Wilder one. I love those movies. The Wedding Crashers is like my favorite comedy movie. That's just I'm kind of nerdy like that. Like yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And what would be you mentioned your website. Is that if someone wants to ask you a question directly, is that the best place to find you, or do you have any other preferred methods?
Yeah, so you can get me on Facebook and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best way. So if you go to Mr. Joe Papa, JoePapa, Mr. Joe Papa on LinkedIn, you connect with me. Love to hear from people. I will respond to all. It's all me, not AI. So reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's the best way.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. This was fun and love chatting about AI. Appreciate you taking the time. This was fun. This was awesome.
Pleasure, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for listening. My name is Chris Kiefer, and my mission is to champion the relentless pursuit of purpose. And what that means to me is to be an example, a champion, someone that is in the trenches, working and showing and winning and trying and failing in how to pursue a deeper and more meaningful life with the people that I love, with my kids, with my friends, with our family, and also just be a champion and example of entrepreneurship and following my passion and doing what I believe I'm called to on this earth. And so if that inspires you in some way, please share this episode. If you want, like, subscribe, share, whatever, do all the stuff. It means the world to me to get this message and get these guests that I have out there. And if you're interested in any of the book recommendations or looking up other episodes, the movie list, you can visit my website, chriskiefer.com, for all the details on the show. And also check out the Boolean review software, as well as the Boolean automation consulting company that I own for home service businesses. So thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode.